Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, I'm doing another video for my monthly series on music marketing and brand building and business tips. So, this month I wanted to talk about some of the stresses that go along with being self employed and being your own boss. Now, I want to start out by saying that being my own boss and being self employed is something that I really do love. It's something that I would not trade for the world, and it's not something that, I complain about a lot. But I also know that there's a lot of people right now that do the 9 to 5 thing, and they've been thinking about, do I want to be self employed? Is this something that I really want to get into? And so, like anything in life, there's going to be positives and there's going to be negatives. So, I wanted to talk about some of the stress that goes along with being self employed so you could really understand, like, is this something I want to get into? Or if it is something that you want to get into and you want that stress, at least you'll be aware of the stress that goes into it because it can help to know that goes within what goes into it. So one of the big stresses that go with being self-employed is it's a constant grind and it's a constant up and down of making income. Now, for me, I really enjoyed the grind. It's one of the things that really makes this exciting, but it can be kind of nerve wracking sometimes because, you don't always know where your next paycheck is going to be. And that's kind of one of the advantages of when you work a 9 to 5. As long as you show up to work that day and you don't get fired, you at least know that you have a paycheck coming in. Whereas for me, working for myself, I can show up to work today and not necessarily mean that I'm going to get paid. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, at a 9 to 5, if you show up and you clock in and you sweep the floor or you got to do some data entry or something like that, you'll be getting paid for that. For me, when I show up, I may have to sweep the floor in my studio or I may have to log some expenses. Nobody's paying me to do that. I only get paid when I get hired by my clients. And so you kind of give up that security when you're doing this 9 to 5 thing. And so when you're doing this self-employed thing, my bad. And so, you kind of you get that financial sense of security when you do the 9 to 5, right? So think about when you're doing 9 to 5, yeah, you give up the freedoms of being able to set your own schedule and be your own boss. But exchange for that, you get the financial sense of security, of consistency, and knowing that as long as you show up to work and don't get fired, you're going to get paid that day. Right. And so with being self-employed, sometimes you make a lot of money and sometimes you don't. And it can be a little nerve-wracking. And sometimes in the back of my mind too, like I think about, okay, business is really good right now. But 6 months from now, what if I don't have any clients? What if I don't have anything coming in? It can be nerve wracking. And, you try not to think too far in the future, but you also do have to plan for the future, especially when you have a job like this. They usually say that you want to have a couple months worth of income in your saving when you're self employed. And I try to do that myself as well, just in case I have a really bad month. But again, back to the 9 to 5 situation, you do get that sense of security that, yeah, as long as I don't get fired 6 months from now, I'm going to have the same amount of money coming in that I do today. And I don't have that sense of security. And so, an example that I have is my girlfriend, for instance. We've been together for over 5 years, and she's been doing the 9 to 5 thing. And so, every single paycheck, she knows exactly what she's going to get. And so she knows every single month that she's going to be able to cover all of her bills, expenses, and have a little bit of extra money into her savings. Whereas for me, there's some months where I'm making a ton of money, right? And I'm like, oh, wow, this is way more than I need to get through this month. And I'm able to put all this money into my savings. But then there's other months where it gets a little tight, right? And there's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this month. And, am I going to be able to put anything into my savings? Maybe I can't put anything into my savings. Maybe I have to pull a little bit out of my savings to get through this month. And again, with the 9 to 5 situation, you do have that sense of security that you have this consistent paycheck coming in. So it's just something to think about with being, self-employed versus the 9 to 5. There's a lot of great things that come with being self-employed, and I really love it. And I don't think I'm cut out for 9 to 5. Actually, I don't think I would do well in that environment. But those are just some of the things to think about, and think about, if that's what you want. And if you do want that, you at least know that that's what you have to be prepared for. So yeah, basically the stressful part of being self-employed is not knowing where your next paycheck is coming from all the time, really having to go out there and grind. Working doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be making money, because there's a lot of things that you have to do for your business that no one's going to pay you to do, because you just have to do it for your business. And then just not knowing, into the future of, being able to have a consistent paycheck. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. So yeah, just something to think about. And I think if you really love it, and whatever that you want to be self-employed in, if you really love it, it's worth it. So don't let this video scare you and think that me telling you that you shouldn't do it because of that stress, because it is worth it. But just be prepared that you're going to be stressed out sometimes, and that's okay.